Hello, I'm Natalie Kunsman, MD, and today's topic is fasting. So if the question is, should I fast or not, just do it. Fasting is a great idea, and I will explain many reasons why. Fasting is one of the oldest therapies in medicine, and even many renowned physicians throughout history have stated that it's the oldest healing system. And back in the day, including Jesus, Buddha, and Mohammed, practiced the fasting tactics. In one of the more well-known political acts of the last century, the Indian leader Mahatma Gandhi fasted for 21 days to actually try to promote peace. So the researched areas of fasting and caloric restriction have noticed to improve heart health, weight loss, blood sugar control by decreasing some insulin resistance. Fasting also can cut inflammation, and there is even some brain protectiveness even from some of the neurodegenerative disorders such as Alzheimer's. Fasting extends longevity. There is cancer prevention and treatment strategies with fasting. And when it comes to the different types of fasting, there is caloric restriction such that maybe we're reducing maybe 20 to 40% of our calorie intake over a certain period of time. Then there is intermittent calorie restriction, such that maybe 50 to 70% reduction in calories for very short periods of time, such as maybe 1 or 2 days a week. Then there is complete fasting, and that would be complete avoidance of calorie intake from 1 day to, believe it or not, up to several weeks. We have the concept of intermittent fasting, and that may be the complete avoidance of calorie intake for 16 to 18 hours daily, or maybe alternating a fasting day with a normal energy day in a intermittent approach. There are also such things as water fasting. So that might be only drinking water for a set amount of time, and that would be no food intake. Then there is the potential for juice fasting, and that would entail just drinking some juices or fruit juices for a period of time. So what we want to know is what exactly happens to the body while we are fasting. And there are some molecular adaptations, there are some metabolic adaptations, and then there are some things that happen down at the cellular level. And a lot of this has been researched for several different conditions. So the fasting state can decrease IGF-1. It can lower insulin levels, and to that note, it can change the cortisol levels. It might actually diminish sex hormones, and it will certainly lower inflammation, increase adiponectin or adiponectin sensitivity, and potentially change T3, which is one of our thyroid hormones. Now, for the molecular adaptations, this has been heavily researched in some of our cancer models and our tumor types. So these can be kind of complicated, but there are different protein markers that have been measured in the fasting states of certain cancers that will be modified, and to most of them will show improvement and reduction in that. Now, at the cellular level, down at the mitochondria, we can actually slow down cell proliferation. We might even be able to help remove damaged cells, which is apoptosis, and that is something that is very beneficial to the body, where the immune system has to recognize a faulty cell and eliminate it rather than allowing it to stay around and potentially become cancerous. And that also is the word similar to that, which is autophagy. There are also carcinogen or toxification enzymes that will kick into place during the fasting stage, which is quite beneficial. Also, in some of these modified fasting states, we can have increased DNA repair and less oxidative damage to the cells, and that will make more of our genes more stable and can improve some of that immune surveillance that's necessary to either repair a damaged cell or get rid of it. So to that note, the cellular adaptations and the molecular adaptations have demonstrated a lot of benefit in the comprehensive approach to cancer management. So for those who are dieting, the fasting states that can affect the hunger hormones can affect adiponectin, dopamine, such that it can actually increase dopamine and our sensation of satiety. It can alter leptin, it can diminish ghrelin, and it can change the insulin and cortisol levels, which we just talked about. So fasting may be quite intuitive, but it will actually improve some of the weight loss based upon those factors related to the hunger hormones. And I will say that typically fewer calories per day is quite obviously part of the strategy to lose weight, but it is also part of nearly every nutritional detox system in place to kick off a weight loss strategy and improve liver detoxification. So for those needing better cardiovascular health, the researchers are finding that fasting intermittently will improve the cholesterol ratios. And don't forget, in our cholesterol talk, we were talking about some of the lipoproteins that carry the cholesterol, and it improves those ratios. Now, fasting also promotes the improvement in our human growth hormone. And that's a protein that we need for cellular repair. Obviously, for children, it's needed for growth. For us adults, it's needed to repair cellular dysfunctional cells. By lowering our calorie intake, we're actually helping with insulin sensitivity, and we are helping to remove some of that truncal weight gain in diabetes, which is also imperative to cardiac prevention. Now, for our brains and our brain health, when we fast, we are actually increasing BDNF, which promotes cellular repair and improved neurons in our brains. We are studying some animals right now regarding the fasting states, and Alzheimer's seems to be less in those critters who have been studied and having some of those fasting episodes. For those with inflammatory conditions, such as the autoimmune phenomenon, there have been numerous models that, for instance, one of the prototypes is psoriasis and psoriatic arthritic flares, and several bowel-related inflammatory conditions, that fasting is almost mandatory to the approach to promote the healing. Fasting will also increase serotonin, and to that note, it can dramatically reduce migraines. There was also some studies stating that depressive symptoms improved and anxiety markedly improved, as well as pain syndromes and sleep when there were fasting states or modified fasting states. For the psychological benefits of fasting, it has been proven to increase our self-esteem. It has been proven to help with our self-awareness and self-control, which also leads to an increased sense of gratitude. So in general, we should follow an anti-inflammatory diet that's full of lots of colorful fruits, vegetables, beans, lentils, herbs, and spices. We need to observe a low to moderate carbohydrate intake with very low glycemic starches. Now, we would strongly encourage some healthy fats at every meal, including very good sources of omega-3s. We should consider a moderate protein intake of only about 3 to 4 ounces per meal, and that can be from a combination of the animal and the plant proteins. Now, one of my favorite approaches, and is nearly part of my daily routine, is to lengthen the time between dinner and breakfast to allow for a longer overnight fast. So one of the goals would be, at least maybe a few times a week, try to have about 13 hours or more. For example, maybe dinner at 6 p.m. and breakfast no sooner than 7 a.m. or later. There would wholeheartedly be a lot of benefit with some short-term water fasts of 1 to 3 days, and that may possibly help to regenerate the immune system and increase cellular protection against some oxidative stresses. And actually, the digestive process is a stressful condition on the body and the immune system, if you want to think about it at the microbiotic level. Now, you want to work with a healthcare provider, and you can determine how often it may be appropriate for you to engage in fasting. And if you are a cancer patient, water fasting 2 to 3 days prior to a treatment and up to 1 day following a treatment can optimize the efficacy of your chemo treatments or radiation treatments, and can try to reduce some treatment-related side effects. But again, that must be under supervision of a qualified practitioner, such as somebody like me. Now, strategies that may help assist us in fasting might be: join those people who are fasting. Some people would prefer to join some programs or go to some camps. Some of us just need to simply make some food rules, such as 12 hours between our meals. Another way to go about this is just to stay busy and keep your mind off of food and keep your mind off of your next meal. Now, a small word of caution: during your fasting states, you actually do not want to have aggressive, hard workouts during these fasting states, because a lot of handiwork and some marathon activity is going on with the detoxification and the hormonal changes that are going on. Please make sure to drink plenty of water, no matter which variation of fasting you may be observing. You may want to try some herbal teas to get some satisfaction of flavors and some palate variability. Another thing that might be wise would be to meditate and, of course, stay busy. I enjoy, and I would encourage you to enjoy, the quietness of your bowels and your brain functioning, because it is a real Zen phenomenon. You may want to journal the experience. You may want to listen to quieting music or enjoy the arts, or strongly consider aromatherapy. Now, I only will give you a few words of caution, and that is, please be very cautious in pregnancy or the breastfeeding state. If you are diabetic, you need to consult me, a physician, or another practitioner when contemplating this approach, especially if you're on medications. And wow, this is powerful information. This gets results, and it is free. You have nothing to lose, so give it a try. Again, I'm Natalie Kunsman, MD. Subscribe to my channel below. Enjoy some of my previous program content. And until we meet again, be well.